Hello everyone, welcome back to Distributed Generation and Smart Grid lecture series. In this video, we are going to discuss something about technical and economical advantages of microgrid. And these advantages can split under different categories. First one is the environmental impact. And as we know that it is needless to say that microgrid would have much lesser environmental impact than large conventional type power stations, especially thermal power plants. Because most of the distributed energy resources are depending upon the renewable energy resources. So renewable energy resources have much lesser environmental impact. So that compared with the conventional thermal power stations. But you know that nowadays the technology related to the conventional power stations are also improving, like carbon capture and storage schemes are available for a thermal power plant, which will drastically reduce the environmental impact. So even though the situation is like that, microgrid definitely have its own advantages. So it actually ultimately help to reduce the global warming. So reduction in the gaseous and particulate emissions due to such kind of distributed energy resources are very low. So it will help to reduce the global warming, and physical proximity of customers with microsources may help to increase the awareness of customers towards the judicious energy usage. That is another advantages, because the distributed generation is mostly at the consumer end. So the consumer is more aware about how much energy they are utilizing and how much energy cost is they are spending for it. So that kind of awareness, the customer definitely have such kind of awareness, so that they will manage the usage of energy in a judicious way. So that is the another advantages of a distributed energy resources or a microgrid. And we can have some of the advantages under operation and investment. So as you all know that reduction of physical and electrical distance between the microsource or a distributed energy resource and loads will contribute some advantages that are listed here. Improvement of reactive power support of whole system, thus enhancing the voltage profile, and the reduction in the transmission and distribution losses. Actually, you know that distributed energy resources are mostly located at the consumer end. So the lengthy transmission line is not required, or distribution line is required. So that TNT losses, transmission and distribution losses are very less compared with the power conventional power system. Is about that reduction is about 3% compared to the conventional power system. And also T&D feeder congestion can be reduced, because all the customers are depending upon the same transmission line. There will be congestion, but in case of a distributed energy resources, the microgrid is a separate entity, so that the load associated with a particular area is only, or in small locality is only connected to the particular microgrid, so that the feeder congestion can be reduced. And third point is actually reduction or postponement of investment in the expansion of transmission and generation systems by proper asset management. So all these things comes at the customer side, so they can manage it very effectively, and even they can postpone the investment requirement, or even they can manage the how much cost involving in the transmission and generation systems, they can manage well than that of a entire conventional power system. So operation and investment cost also can be reduced. So these are the some of the advantages of microgrid that is listed under operation and investment. Then we can see what about the power quality. There are some few advantages in terms of power quality. As you all know that in our conventional power system, power quality depends upon the load that we are connecting to the power system. Mostly electronic type loads will deteriorate the power quality. So here power quality and reliability can be improved in a way that the first one is the decentralization of supply. So the distributed energy resources or microgrid are like a distributed or decentralized, so that you can improve the reliability in such a way that if there is a fault occurs in your main conventional power system, you can disconnect the particular area that is connected with the priority load, and you can ensure the reliable power supply. That is one of the advantages. Then better match of supply and demand. So it is a microgrid. The how much load we are going to connect it, or we are planning to connect, it's very much aware, and based upon that you can plan your generation, so that better match of supply and demand can be meet. Rather than in a conventional power system, the utility cannot forecast effectively or accurately how much load is going to be connected into their distribution line. So it is better match of supply and demand is possible in our microgrid. Then reduction of the impact of large scale transmission and generation outages. That is, in a conventional power system, there are the possibility of outages or power blackout. So in that here that kind of outages cannot be impacted on the microgrid. Then minimization of downtimes and enhancement of the restoration process through black start operations of microsources. That is in case of microgrid, if there is a fault occurs in the main power system, you can disconnect it and it can be work in a islanded mode or a standalone mode, so that you can ensure the reliable power supply to the priority loads, and you can at least you can ensure the power supply to the critical loads, so that minimize the downtime can be minimized. And even you can in case of a microgrid, it is a small grid, you can suppose if there is a fault occurs in your microgrid, you can restore the entire power system very fastly rather than a conventional power system. So these are affecting all these things are affecting the power quality, because restoration time or minimization of downtime, interruption time, or then outages, then better match of supply and demand. All these things are affecting the reliability and power. That is in turn that will affect the power quality. So these are some of the advantages that can be listed under power quality. Then what about the cost? What about the cost saving in case of a microgrid? A significant saving comes from the utilization of waste heat. That is, a combined heat power production is possible in distributed energy resources. That is, if there is a heat loss, that also you can recover and make it as useful for the some heat loads, so that the entire efficiency of the power conversion system can be improved. And you can see that as the CHP sources are located close to the customer's load, no substantial infrastructure is required for heat transmission. Load is also very near to the generation. This gives the total energy efficiency actually more than 80% as compared to the maximum of 40% for a conventional power system. That in case of distributed energy resources, we can utilize the heat loss, we can recover the heat loss, and that can also be converted into useful power, so that the entire efficiency of the power conversion system can be increased, power plant can be increased. It is like for a conventional power system, the efficiency is 40%, but by using CHP, combined heat power production, for a distributed energy resource, can have a 80% efficiency. So that is the one of the major advantages of a distributed energy resources or a microgrid. Then cost saving is also affected through the integration of several microsources. So as they are locally placed in the plug and play mode, the low we already discussed, the T and D losses can be minimized. So that kind of T and D costs are drastically reduced or eliminated. So when combined into microgrid, the generated electricity can be shared locally among the customers, which again reduces the need to import export power to or from the main grid over longer feeders. That is the meaning is that when we combine if one microgrid is combined with another microgrid, integrating the microgrid, whenever we require a power shortage, in any case, any microgrid load, you can share the power from one microgrid to another microgrid, and in such a way that the microgrid integration can itself manage the power balance, so that it doesn't require to import the power from main grid, or it doesn't require to export power. They can manage itself. The integration of microgrid can be effectively reduce the cost. So that is also one of the advantages of microgrid. And the last one is the market. Market means some economical aspect of microgrid. There are following advantages are attained in case of market participation. That means if you are generating electrical energy using a microgrid or distributed energy resources, you can, if you have a surplus power, you can that can be given to the main utility, and you will get the corresponding rewards. So development of market-driven operation procedure of the microgrid will leads to a significant reduction of market power exerted by the established generation companies. That is, in our conventional power system, there are so many power sector companies now, like Gencom and distribution companies and generation company, transmission companies are there, and they are fixing the price for the electricity. But in case of a there are so many microgrid and local generations are increasing, they can also produce their own power. They can produce a surplus power. They can export into the import into the main grid, so that that will definitely reduce the actual power energy cost that is provided by some other power generation companies. That is, when there are local generation and they are importing the power, they are feeding a surplus power into the main grid, means that they can there will be some kind of reduction in the electricity cost. The main generation companies are forced to be reduce their electricity cost, so that electricity charges. That is one of the advantages. Also, a microgrid customer, a consumer is producing particular electrical some amount of electrical energy. They also get some benefit from the surplus power. They can sell that power into the utility so that they will get corresponding payment from the utility. So that is one of the advantages. Then microgrid may be used to provide ancillary service. So that is the service, a backup service. Backup, it can be act as a backup power supply. Then widespread application of modular plug and play microsources may contribute to a reduction in the energy price in the power market. So that point is we already discussed. This kind of distributed energy resource will leads to reduction in the energy price in the power market, because they also comes into the market as a competitor. So then the appropriate economic balance between network investment and DG utilization is likely to reduce the long-term electricity customer prices by 10%, nearly a 10%. So this that is what is the main problem, main point in this market advantages, market participation, is that the microgrid can also participate in the market. They also sell the power to the customers or utility, so that there are so many number of such kind of market participation comes, and naturally there will be a competition, so that they will forcefully reduce the electricity price. So that is the one of the advantages in case of a microgrid. So all these things are main advantages of a microgrid. This is classified in different heading as market, cost saving, power quality, operation and investment, and environmental. So these are important points regarding the technical and economical advantages of microgrid.